Hey everyone, it's Clarissa, also known as the Bunny Simmer, and today we are building a new house for the Tinker family. They live in this quite ugly mansion here in Conifer Station in the world of Evergreen Harbor, which of course is a world that came with eco lifestyle. And before I jumped into the build, I did a couple things. First, I went ahead and cheated two neighborhood action plans. The first one was the Green Initiative, which is one that over time will change how the world looks. There will be more greenery. The pathways have this beautiful like sunflower design and is a really dynamic change to how the world looks and is a neighborhood action plan that is specific to the world of Evergreen Harbor. And then the second one is also specific to this world, and it is the modern development, and it changes the buildings over time. And so the first ones that usually change are the apartments that are available in this world. They utilize a lot of like reclaimed wood and add a bit of greenery, and the windows become larger. And they are two of my favorite neighborhood action plans. I know the NAPs, or NAPs as some people call them, are not always the most popular, especially like the culinary one when people come over and just make so many white cakes. They're all over your kitchen when you have visitors, or if you have growing together and people come and spend the night, that's all they do. The whole night they'll make white cakes. But I really like especially these two because they really do impact the world in a way that we don't really have in other expansion or game packs. And so I often will go ahead and either enact them through gameplay or cheating, just because I really prefer this really green, vibrant, modern world, because I think it's so different than anywhere else we have in the game to kind of build. The other thing that I did before demolishing this really, really ugly mansion is going through and seeing what skill building items were in the house, because Tina Tinker is in the freelance crafting career and Yasmin is a freelance writer, and then their daughter Olive is in the creative aspiration. And so I wanted to make sure that I had the things that either were already in the house or the things that they needed, so if you were to put this house down, that you'd be successful playing with this family. And I thought it was really interesting that Tina is in the craft aspiration, I believe, and also is a freelance crafter, and there was not a single crafting item in her entire house, which is not ideal for gameplay for sure. And I think part of that might be because the Sims team wants you to use the community spaces that came with this world. It's a specific lot type that came with Eco Lifestyle that you're able to vote exactly what the space is used for. So the generic community space is really just bathrooms and often a dumpster. And then there's three other types that your Sims can vote for, or you can cheat. And that is a community garden. The other one is a marketplace where you can kind of like sell things in your inventory or things that you've crafted. And the other is a craft space. And so I guess they kind of expect Tina to go to the community space every day to get her work done. But I just find that tedious. I don't want to have to sit through the load screens and you have to talk to your client to make sure it works. So what if you're there and you make it and then you come home to submit it to the client and then they don't like it and then you have to sit through another load screen to go back? Like, that is just way too tedious for my own gameplay. And so instead I was inspired by Tina and just this really crafty creative family to create a like proper craft like workman space here in this large wing of the house. And the house that was originally here, if you guys saw it, which it is not a looker for sure, it is actually a house that has a pretty cool backstory overall. So the manor that was originally here was owned by kind of like a business typhoon, I guess, during the kind of heyday of Conifer Station, which is the neighborhood that we're in. And since then, obviously, the neighborhood has hit some tough times. That's why like the railway is no longer being used, and a lot of the industry things are just like overgrown and rusting and kind of just not just like eyesores in the neighborhood. But this house is one of the few houses that remained from that time period. And story-wise, I think that is such a cool idea. But the house is so ugly and it didn't match anything to do with the Tinker family. Like stylistically, if they had taken this house and reclaimed it and reused it, like I think that would have been eco-friendly, but nothing about the style of the home matched them as people at all. It didn't have the things that they needed to succeed in it. And so I decided that we were just going to bulldoze and start from scratch. And the house that I am building today with this really kind of like cool tone neutrals is actually inspired by a house that I see every day on my commute. And it really sticks out to me because it is surrounded by homes built in like the late 80s, I think. And so it does not look like anything else in the neighborhood. And it's quite an imposing house. Most of the other homes are quite small. I imagine them to be like, you know, maybe 900 square feet houses, maybe a little more. And then they have this really imposing, like modern kind of eco-friendly house in the neighborhood. So it definitely stands out, but it's a very beautiful home. And I was kind of inspired to build it here in the world of eco lifestyle where I thought it would fit in the best. And I kind of used a lot of these cool tone neutrals that I don't often use in the build, especially this floor tone that came with eco lifestyle. I will often use the more like yellow or orangish wood that comes in this pack. But I don't know if I've ever actually built a full house with this wood tone. So I was really inspired by these cool kind of neutrals, like calming space for these creative people to kind of live and work in this ever-changing neighborhood that they live in. And so the first room I kind of jump in is Olive's. You will see the furniture in the background. I promise that is not how I'm actually decorating the space. I'm not leaving the kids' chairs with a zebra rug or anything. I just like to put placeholder furniture sometimes in when I'm working with a floor plan just to make sure everything fits, because there's nothing worse than getting like really into decorating a space and realizing you actually have no room for the kitchen. And so I will often just grab the first thing I see in the catalog just to make sure that the layout works before I jump into decorating. But I promise all of that stuff will change. I will not leave it that way. But I was really inspired by the kids' room. Olive is a really creative kid, and so I wanted posters on her walls of maybe like some of her favorite bands and some sketches by her favorite artist and her own artwork. So there is a violin in this space and a dollhouse. And I actually put the kids' crafting table that came with, like the arts and crafts table that came with Eagle Lifestyle in the maker space, because I thought it would be so cute from gameplay if Olive is in there just coloring up a storm while Tina is like fabricating a rug or making some candles. I just thought it'd be cute, like mom and daughter moment for them to be able to craft together. And so I do include that. There were only 2 kid activities, I think, in Eco Lifestyle, which was that large cardboard dollhouse that I shrunk down and put in the corner, and then the kids' crafting table. And if you were trying to use the dollhouses in The Sims and you think they're like way too large, know that you can cheat them down, because your Sims don't actually play inside the dollhouse. They sit outside the front of it. And so it is an item that you can shrink down and it won't ruin the animations, just so you know. But I did include both of those items here because they were like the kid-friendly things. And now I'm working on Tina and Yasmin's bedroom. I thought like yoga stuff would be fun to put in here. And then I got towards the end of the build and realized that I forgot to put a desk, which you need as a freelancer, especially a freelance writer. And so this dresser and things will come out, and I create this space as like a little writing nook for Yasmin. I considered putting it in the maker space, but I just think that and Tina and Olive were probably making way too much noise in there for Yasmin to be able to focus. And so I put her desk in here eventually. And then I also put some like books on what I think is her side of the bed, just to help with that story of her like being a reader and a writer in her own right. And then I jump into decorating the bathrooms. There are 2.5 baths in this house. There is this one right off the master bedroom, right next to what will be their walk-in closet. And then I have a full bathroom for Olive that is off the central hallway. And then there's also a half bath off of the kitchen. Prior to putting this on the gallery, I did play in the house a bit just to make sure any of the things that I alt placed were in the way, making sure that they can use the computer, because I've had a little glitch with that, and things like that. And so I will say that I added a bit more clutter into the guest like half bath when I uploaded it to the gallery, because it's right off the kitchen. For some reason, my Sims decided to, when they cook dinner, to prepare it in the bathroom bedroom and then cook it in the kitchen, which was really annoying. And I obviously don't think that would be that fun for gameplay. So I added some clutter to the counter to prevent them from doing that, because that means that the counter is no longer available. But here you can see I'm using the Dream Home Decorator modular shelving to create a custom walk-in closet for Yasmin and Tina. And I really tried to pick like colors of clothes, like the options that we have from clothes that I know Yasmin and Tina have. And just to clutter it up a bit, I think I add a chair from the Book Nook kit over here in the corner, just to make it another little kind of cozy space. I mean, so many of us have a chair where we put the not dirty but not completely clean clothes. So I often will put a little chair in my closets if I'm building walk-ins. But yeah, that's kind of it for the master bedroom until I realized that there isn't a computer, which I do not know how I forgot that. Computers are one of the most important things that you kind of need in The Sims. I thought about putting a laptop on the kitchen table and calling it a day, but I just didn't think it was fair that Tina had this large wing of the house to craft things like candles and juice and all this stuff, and then poor Yasmin has to work at the kitchen table. I just didn't think that was fair. So I do go back in and change their master bedroom just a bit to make sure that she has the space that she needs. And then I jumped into the kitchen, and I thought this was the perfect time to use the Home Chef Hustle kit, because this green tone kind of set that comes for the kitchen, also with this light wood like paneling on the front of the cabinets and the shelving, I thought just fit this house perfectly and kind of the tones that I was going for. I included a mixer in here if they want to use that. I just think that Yasmin and Tina are the type of people that are, I just feel like they're sourdough people, you know, like I can definitely see them during the pandemic being the type of people who like once a week made sourdough together. And so I wanted to make sure that they definitely had a kitchen that they could cook in as a family, and wanted to play around with some of the new items that came in that kit. And I also really enjoy this kind of long window that came with Eco Lifestyle. I think it fits perfectly over the sink here, and I put a couple plants there. In my mind, they're there that Tina has them as like little seedlings that she's getting ready to plant in her garden out back, so that she has homegrown fruits and things that she can use for her juice fizzing as a freelancer. I just thought that was another kind of cute nod to her career and adding it to different parts of the house. And now I'm trying to settle on a rug under the dining room table and a cute little light fixture. And then I'm going to move on to the living room. In here, I definitely wanted a fireplace so that I could add a little bit different flooring and wall textures to go behind it, just to make the space feel a little bit more dynamic. And then I wasn't sure what to do with this little pop out that is sitting right there in front of that big window. At first, I thought I was going to put some chairs there, but it didn't just like sit right, and they couldn't see the TV. And so instead I put a chess table there, which I think is one of the most useful items that we have in the sim. It's great for the logic skill, and it's just a classic because we didn't have the telescope, like a small practical telescope, for so long in the base game, that so many of my builds have a chess table, which is funny because it's not like I have one in my house, but we do have a dedicated board game table in my house. So maybe I should have played like Don't Shake the Llama instead over there. But I just tried to fit as many skill building items that I could in the house that I thought were practical and that really kind of fit the story of the sim. I can see Yasmin playing, you know, chess with Olive on a Saturday morning or something like that. And so I wanted to include that in their living space. And here, because I added added a fireplace, I wanted to make sure there was a chimney. Even when I build like the walls like this, I do try to put a chimney piece in the top because smoke will come out of it. And I just love being able to see that little detail when I'm playing in a house, especially like in the winter and there's snow and like you have your kids outside building snowmen and you have a fire going in the fireplace. I think it's so cute. And then I also added some solar panels to the back. The two neighborhood action plans that I put into place for this community, the Green Initiative and the the modern development, those two initiatives will increase your builds in the, not your builds, your bills in The Sims. And so I did want to add some solar energy or something like that just to help alleviate the cost a little bit. And now, as you can see, I'm jumping into the maker space in the house and adding just a bit of items in here. So like I said, I have Olive's little craft table so she can be in here working with her mom. And again, I tried to put a little clutter on the walls that looks like she used it. And I did fit in the science experiment little table. I think the one that I put in came from Snowy Escape just because I like the style of that one more. And then in the back, I include some planters and the large recycler because I just didn't think it fit well inside the house, and I thought it would make sense to put outside. And this recycler is necessary to get the bits and bobs that you need as part of the crafting. So you need dyes and things like that if you want things to be a certain color, and then they're made out of things called bits and bobs, and you get those from recycling items. A lot of times I will recycle plates, dirty plates, instead of throwing them away or popping them in the washer or the sink. That is one kind of easy and free way for your Sims to get it. I will also, especially around harvest time in the game, I will often put in the seed packets that the gnomes put absolutely everywhere all over your floor. Those are also a great thing that's kind of free in the game for you to be able to recycle to get the bits and bobs that you need in order to craft. And here I am foolishly painting the terrain way too early in the building process. I don't know if you guys are still experiencing this glitch, but I painted the terrain and then popped back into the game to test play it before I shared this house on the gallery, and all of my terrain paint was missing. So I had to repaint it. That is probably one of the most frustrating glitches that I'm dealing with because I just don't use as much terrain. I don't make it as elaborate because if it's always going to go missing, it's just not worth the effort of spending like hours painting really beautiful terrain paint if it's just going to disappear. And here I realized that I didn't have the desk, so I cluttered it up a bit. And I did also play test using the desk. This is another glitch that I've been experiencing, that if there are things, even if they're slotted correctly, like on a slot that comes on the desk, if there's too many things on your desk, sometimes Sims can't use the computer. If you experience this, it might be something on the desk, but if you have them sit in the chair and then play on the computer, it will work. So sometimes you have to play around with what clutter you have and if it's getting in the way of your Sims being able to use the computer easily. So just so you know, that is a glitch I know a few of us are experiencing. So I just wanted to give you a heads up, and hopefully it's something that you can fix until the Sims team can help us kind of streamline that process a little bit. And here I am just cluttering up the bathrooms and the last bit, and from there we're going to go into screenshots. So thank you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.